The Bedford Group is seeking your support for the development of their new home community, The View on Overhill. As a result, we have prepared this video to mitigate any community concerns and to share with you our vision for the Windsor Hills View Park community.
Well, I'm Charles Quarles. I typically go by Chuck Quarles. I am president of the Bedford Group, and we're the developers on the Overhill project located in View Park, right at the apex of Overhill and La Brea. Well, it's an 88-unit condominium project that is a luxury condominium project slated for young professionals primarily and empty nesters. Well, we've owned the land now for over 10 years, and so it's been vacant long before I even purchased it, and it's ideally situated right there at the crest of Overhill and La Brea. Gives you commanding views of the entire city practically. Great location with tremendous views, and it's right at the gateway to the entry into Windsor Hills and View Park, and so we thought it was just a great location for a very well planned and developed condominium project.
The Bedford Group has to be considered a unique animal in this area because a lot of African-American developers, I don't know a lot of African-American developers doing projects in the area. I know the family lives in the area. I know they've invested in the area. I think that's a positive thing because they have to live on the same streets as everybody else and they have to shop at the same stores as everybody else, and you're basically neighbors.
Well, when you live in a certain community, you identify with that community, and to the extent that you believe you're in some way upgrading the community, well, it brings you pleasure, particularly if you're a developer. I mean, developers, we tend to be the kind of people who like to build, who like to improve. So as a developer, I get pleasure from being able to do that in the community in which I live. We care about where we build, we care about what we build, and we care about who we build for. And so that's the legacy we want to leave. We started out, we were building affordable housing for people who needed affordable housing. And we've morphed now into a builder of condominium for sale type single family home and condominiums. And there too, our concern is that we provide the kind of home that people can be proud of, they'd be happy to live in them, and that they are affordable.
My name's Michael Luna. I'm an architect. I'm president of Michael Luna and Associates Architects. We are the architectural firm engaged to design the View project. We have been working on this project trying to develop the best solutions for the best possible design configuration for this project. The current zoning on the property allows for even more units than what our project has designed. And our project, in actuality, these are higher quality units. They're a little larger than what you normally find in a project like this. The square footage is more luxurious than you normally find in an attached project, giving it definitely a higher level of quality. And we think that the demographic that will seek this type of high quality unit will be definitely an improvement for the neighborhood and an asset.
Well, I mean, given its current zoning, there is no height restriction.
The height of the building, kind of a natural transition really between a single family residence and commercial uses to the north of us. And in most communities you will find that their existing zoning purposely locates multi-family housing projects, attached product, between single-family residences and commercial. It's just a natural transition.
All of the grading and construction and foundation design has taken into consideration current codes, which include the 2013 California Building Code and then the County of Los Angeles amendments to that code. And at least from our perspective, geotechnically, yes, everything that has been done has been consistent with those codes.
We tried to take advantage of the terrain of the site, the sloping site, by stepping the site down the hill and up the hill in terms of trying to tie the building into the topography of the land.
So I understand the concern that they think it's going to be an overly tall building, but it won't be as tall if you're on the Overhill side as it would be if you're coming up La Brea. But even if you had a one-story building on the site coming up La Brea, it still would be approximately 40 feet up.
We found that the site is a very suitable site for the proposed construction. We have provided specific grading and foundation recommendations, taking into consideration the site conditions, and it should be a pretty good project geotechnically.
We were very careful in terms of our design and the placement of the building to ensure that we didn't impact any views. The view that people have that live on the crest right now is primarily of the commercial area that's directly north of their rear property line.
When we originally were asked to design this project, we knew that it would be a challenge to have it fit in as best as possible to the context of this site. We specifically located the building on the very northern side, part of this site, which we knew would be the furthest distance away from the existing single-family residential.
Can't lose a view that you didn't have. Well, first you have to understand the site. The site is on a hill, and it's above the residential to the south. The views are at the south, and they're also at the west and east, and there's no view to the north.
So we pushed our building all the way northward, and we made sure that we protected and preserved the views of the ocean that any people that live on the crest would have. There are only 6 homes there that had any kind of view at all, and those views are still intact. Well, we did an extensive shadow study, and the building is so far northward that there's never any shadow cast in any property.
Henceforth, it is impossible for a project to the north of the residential portion to cast any shadows whatsoever on the residential yards or homes at all. It's just physically impossible.
The sun, when it comes eastward, goes southward. There's never a shadow cast on anybody's property. Well, I understand when people think of 88 units coming in, they're thinking, oh, 88 families, how much more? There's already traffic congestion. And we did a very extensive traffic study, and it turns out that the traffic impacts won't be that severe.
In the traffic impact study, the first step is to fully scope out the analysis with county traffic and lighting division staff. So prior to commencement, we met with county staff. We looked at the number of study intersections in the vicinity of the project, and we defined the parameters for our review. The county has very specific criteria for when a project triggers what we refer to as a significant traffic impact. Due to the relatively low level of expected vehicular trip generation with the project, those thresholds established by the county were not exceeded. Therefore, we did not have a finding of a significant traffic impact.
There's going to be some street widening and some restriping. The county has a plan for Overhill, and we're dovetailing our plan with theirs so that there won't be any significant impact in terms of traffic.
If we make a strong recommendation based on safety, and it includes additional roadway widenings and additional costs, sometimes that isn't perceived well because it adds to the overall development cost. Bedford Group has definitely understood the significance of future safety and has agreed to the additional roadway widening so that we can install a 2-way left turn lane to ensure a much more safe site access circulation design. So they've been very good to work with.
When they exit the site, they have to turn right until the county comes along and develops this plan, and then they'll be able to make left turns. But initially, probably for the first year or so, they'll only be able to make right turns out of the project and right turns into the project so that they won't be slowing down traffic going southward on Overhill in order to avoid cars that are making left turns into the site.
With the 2-way left turn lane to be installed on Overhill Drive, which we can do with roadway widening along the project frontage, that will eliminate the need for any future resident of this development project to make a right turn onto southbound Overhill and then potentially take other streets through the community to access points to the north. With the 2-way left turn lane at the project driveways, future residents will be able to make that left turn, have a storage area in the center of Overhill before merging with the northbound traffic flow. We're not envisioning cut-through trips through adjoining residential areas. Early on, our firm was made aware of a request to have an access point to and from the project site off of La Brea. We carefully looked at that driveway configuration, and it was our strong recommendation not to have access on La Brea. As everyone knows, La Brea carries a very large amount of traffic. It has 3 lanes each direction, northbound, southbound. Overhill Drive has 2 lanes, northbound and southbound by comparison. Due to the curvature of La Brea, we didn't have a finding of an adequate line of sight, both for approaching vehicles on La Brea to see exiting motorists, as well as for an exiting driveway motorist to have a clear line of sight to see oncoming traffic around the curve on La Brea. La Brea is also higher speeds than Overhill Drive. So in order to increase safety, it was recommended that access be off of Overhill Drive. And I think overall the community would be in favor of access off of Overhill versus off of La Brea, which would result in a more unsafe condition. This project will add about 60 p.m. peak hour vehicle trips, and that equates to roughly 1 vehicle either entering or exiting the site per minute. It's not a very intensive use when compared to a commercial development or a retail development. Residential is a lower rate of overall trip generation. So having said that, there will be a slight increase in traffic volumes, but in our report, we did not have a finding of significant traffic impact because we didn't exceed those counties' thresholds.
We've designed the project to have an excess number of parking spaces than that which is normally required. So having that excess parking on site is going to ensure that guest parking does not flow out into the adjacent areas.
When we reviewed the parking design and the access scheme, we made sure that the access gate control at the northerly Overhill driveway would be set back far enough internal to the site that there be adequate distance prior to the driveway meeting Overhill Drive for vehicles, if there should be 2 vehicles at the same time, that there wouldn't be queuing back out onto Overhill Drive. So we carefully reviewed the anticipated peak hour volumes, both in the commuter AM peak hour and the commuter PM peak hour. We looked at anticipated vehicle queuing and we found that not to be an issue. I know that there have been some comments about the level of environmental review that's been undertaken for this project. There have been comments requesting a full environmental impact report versus a mitigated negative declaration or a negative declaration, which are not as large of environmental documents. I will say this from the traffic study perspective. What triggers the need for a full environmental impact report is if we have significant traffic impacts that we can't reduce to a less than significant level. That automatically triggers the full EIR. Since we didn't have a finding of significant traffic impacts, we were asked if we thought a mitigated negative declaration or a negative declaration could be supported, and we responded yes. Since we did not find significant traffic impacts, a full environmental impact report was not needed for that issue area.
There is a fault, a small fault.
With the Alquist-Priolo earthquake fault hazard study that was done, trenching across the entire site delineated where earthquake faults were observed or ground cracks were observed, and the building has been appropriately set back from those identified features.
We have been instructed and directed by the county as to where the placement of the building should be and how far from the earthquake fault the building should be, and we adhere to that.
Construction and grading will not adversely affect the ground cracks or any faults. The more important issue from our perspective is that potential offsets in those features may disrupt the construction of the building. The building has been set back appropriately. Consequently, there should be no adverse effects one way or the other. There's no legitimate basis for this type of construction project to cause seismic activity. It would be unheard of, just because the depth of the work and the weight of the work is really rather insignificant. I know we are in the area of the Inglewood oil field, so consequently at depth there are oil resources that have been found and are being produced, but not in the influence zone of the work that's being done for this particular project.
We're upgrading the sewer system.
With regard to the sewer system, the existing system that's in place is adequate. We contracted with Cal-Am Water District to upgrade the existing water system. So there will be a new 10-inch line coming in from the east side of Windsor Elementary School that will be extended over to the front of the property along Overhill Drive.
We're enlarging the system and we're going directly into Overhill. And we're not going into the neighborhood, so the sewer system will not be impacted at all. The sewer line comes directly from the commercial area and will be diverted directly over to La Brea.
As far as water usage, we're extremely efficient.
The water line is being upgraded. It's coming all the way from the reservoir, so it won't impact the water line either.
We have a drip irrigation system. We have a controller that's weather sensitive. It has sensors. It has rain stops to it. So it's a completely modern system.
The stormwater runoff from the site will not increase from existing conditions, thereby not causing additional stormwater flows in the existing storm drain system.
There's a lot of state requirements we're following and a lot of city requirements. The state requirement is we have to meet a certain amount of water usage, which we are 50% below the required water usage.
The project is being required by the county to widen the frontage along Overhill Drive. With that widening, there will be a full restriping of Overhill Drive to accommodate a center two-way left turn lane, which will provide for safe left turn ingress and safe left turn egress or inbound and outbound movements onto Overhill Drive. That has fairly significant utility requirements, also the installation of curb and gutter along the project frontage, and those will be county requirements for this project.
Our civil engineering firm has been working very hard with the county to be sure that our interface in terms of utilities and services that will be needed to serve the site are indeed available without taxing any infrastructure in the neighborhood.
We prepared a sewer area study that was reviewed by the County of Los Angeles, by the City of Los Angeles, and the City of Inglewood. It was a report that was approved, so the existing system is adequate.
So it's not an impact that the people will experience.
It will benefit the community because this new 10-inch line is going to be tied into the existing water system in place. The houses in the community will benefit by an increase in water pressure and their fire system.
We want to provide a lifestyle and the quality that people can be proud of and the kind that they would experience if they lived in some of the more upscale areas. We didn't think because it's in View Park or in what's considered a black neighborhood that the quality should be any less. We deserve as much as anyone else, particularly when you have the ability to provide that. So we are designing and building a project on a location that we think is truly ideal for what we are designing, and we're offering a product in terms of quality and style and lifestyle that would be offered in any upscale community anywhere else in the city, and we're offering it at a price that's going to be very competitive. So the idea that we're bringing something to the community that will be different from what's been there before, that only enhances what's already there, is something that we're very proud to do.
Thank you for watching our video. Please support the Bedford Group's desire to provide new homeownership opportunities to young professionals, couples, and empty nesters by signing our petition of support at change.org/p/the-view-condos. For more detailed information on the view and the concerns addressed in this video, please visit our website at thebedfordgroup.com.